In this video tutorial, we'll review the multiple edit tools within Pro Tools. We'll also give you some options for zooming your waveform. We'll show you some zooming presets as well as horizontal and vertical zoom. Okay, let's get started. You can see in Pro Tools we currently have areas selected within our session, and I want to start off showing you the actual zoom tool itself. Now you can use your escape key to rotate through the many tools. Hitting it multiple times will just allow you to rotate and select your tools. You can also use F keys, F5 up through F10 in order to select your tools as well. Now the zoom tool, notice with the zoom tool it currently has a plus icon, and that plus icon, if you drag and drop, you'll notice that everything that's inside of this current lasso we're going to be able to zoom into. Notice with the plus icon it zooms you in. If you hold down Option, it turns into a minus icon where you can actually zoom back out levels. So simply again, click and drag. Whatever you have currently highlighted is what you're going to be zoomed into. Option clicking zooms you back out. Anytime you have a selection made and you want to center it, Option F, as in fill screen, will fill your screen with the current selection. Now if I were to separate this portion here, Command E, notice we've now separated a region, and this will allow me to show you the next tool, our trim tool. Our trim tool allows us to trim the end point of any audio file. And notice right now I'm currently in slip mode, so you'll see that it's trimming the edge of the region without actually being constrained by any movement. If I were actually in grid mode and doing the same performance, you'd see that it's going to lock to the current grid location. The actual tool itself will trim any endpoint to the beginning or end of a region. And again, it's just setting new coordinates for where the DAW should look at the beginning and end portion, which you can see are also denoted up top in our ruler view with a selector icon showing me that I have a selection. You can change your selection by grabbing that arrow, or if we locate to our next tool, the trim tool also allows us to change selections. Notice that again it automatically orients based off the center portion of the region, and the trim tool will automatically reorient itself. To make it change its position, hold down Option, and Option will change the actual direction of your trim tool. Alright, let's undo our selection. And let's move now to the Selector Tool. Your Selector Tool, with a single click, the Selector Tool will place an instance for playback. So notice it's basically giving me a position within Pro Tools that I can play back from. If I were to hit play, you can see we're playing back from that current location. A double click with the Selector Tool will select an individual region, and a triple click with the Selector Tool will select all regions within that playlist or on that track. Click and drag with the Selector Tool allows you to make a selection. Now if I click anywhere, again with an instantiation point, it lets go of the last selection. If you want to retain your last selection, you have an option underneath your edit menu, restore last selection. So again, single click places a timeline insertion point or a place to play back from. A double click selects an individual region. Triple click selects all regions on that playlist. Click and drag makes a selection. If you want to update your selection, you can use the arrow keys up top, or you can hold down Shift and add to or take away from your beginning of your selection. The next tool I want to talk about is called the Time Grabber. The Time Grabber, with a single click, will select any audio region. A single click will select any audio region. Notice you cannot select partial regions with the Time Grabber. A double click will prompt you to rename a region. And then shift clicking will allow you to select multiple regions. And that's our Time Grabber. The Scrub tool will allow you to actually scrub the waveform. So holding down I'm basically clicking the mouse and dragging, and that allows me to scrub the actual waveform. If you hold down Option, it'll actually change the actual speed of your scrub. So that's our scrub tool. It allows you to scrub the waveform. If I wanted to find if there's some kind of a pop or a click in the waveform and I couldn't see it, I could actually scrub to find that waveform, which would then allow us to use the next tool, the actual pencil tool. Let's take a look at the pencil tool. Pencil tool is pretty cool. Let's actually zoom in on this piece that I currently have selected. Option F to fill screen. Now notice when I zoom in, when this waveform turns into a single line like we see here, I can actually redraw in the waveform. So this is really cool because if you had things like pops and clicks and you needed to rewrite out a pop or a click, you could actually just redraw it. Notice I can't do it when it's a solid line. It has to turn into the individual line of the waveform, and then I can redraw the actual waveform itself. So there are our different tools: our zoom tool, our trim tool, our selector tool, our time grabber, our scrub tool, our pencil tool, and I'll show you a little bit about waveform zooming. Holding down Command and using your bracket keys will allow you to zoom in or zoom out of a waveform. So that is Command and brackets. And notice if I hold down Command and Option, it will zoom the waveform height. Notice it's making it look like it's getting louder. It's actually not. It's just zooming the waveform height. These are really cool, easier methods to use than the actual separate zoom tool is off to the side here, which basically does the same thing. So notice if I click here, we're zooming out or in to view the waveform. And then you have waveform height here as well. But again, I think it's much easier to get the quick key down of Command in brackets and then Command Option in brackets. That way I don't actually have to go grab the tool itself. It's all right there within a quick key. So awesome, we've gone over your zoom tool, your trim tool, your selector tool, your time grabber tool, the scrub tool, the pencil tool. We've shown you how to zoom into the waveform. Let's take a look at zoom presets. Notice down below the tool here we have zoom presets. If I hold down Command and click on a zoom preset, I just saved that zoom setting. Let's zoom in a little further, and let's hold down Command and click on position 2. We'll zoom in a little further. And Command, click on Fleet. Now if I go and actually select these presets, notice it will zoom into where I saved that zoom preset at. Awesome, we've gone over all of our tools and some waveform vertical and horizontal zoom, as well as zoom tool and presets. Stay tuned, we've got a lot more really great information concerning Pro Tools.